Hey guys, welcome back to ArtosisCasts. Today we're going to be looking at Action going up against MoolSo. MoolSo, obviously, you might not be that familiar with. I definitely have casted a fair amount of his games in the channel. He is one of these stronger amateur players that's still looking to qualify for SSL. But yeah, you can see he doesn't have his Korean on his keyboard. But he's typing Korean words. He doesn't have Hangul. All right. That's kind of funny. So, anyways, Action, you know, one of the strongest, most consistent Zergs in the world. I've actually been enjoying a lot of his games again lately. I feel like he might be leaning away from the crazy all-ins that he's been doing for a while. I definitely have seen more macro games from him lately, and I really think that that's where he shines. He shines as a late game Zerg specifically. So hoping that we can see some of that here against MoolSo, who has put out some good PvZs lately. The last game I can remember his that we casted here, I believe it was a PvZ, maybe on Dominator, that looked really good from him. Maybe I'm misremembering the map, but pretty sure. Anyways, you know, everyone's in super heavy practice mode as SSL qualifiers come closer. So let's see what they're looking like against each other here. It is a pool first, and he did scout around kind of a funny way to avoid any incoming overlords seeing his probe or anything like that. One thing, well, I mean, obviously this is kind of like a slow opening, so I guess I'll just take this moment to thank everyone who has tuned into ArtosisCasts over the last, you know, 4 years or so. Hope that you guys are still enjoying. I really do appreciate it. Big thanks to everyone who has supported on the Patreon. That's patreon.com/Artosis. Big thanks to all of you there. As I mentioned before, we are funding the CNSL, a partial sponsor for that. And that should be starting after the SSL qualifiers, as long as Cast from Use can find the right dates for it. But yeah, should be good. Thank you again for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Appreciate it when you leave a comment, when you leave a like and all that. If you've subscribed, that's fantastic as well. All things that help to build the channel. All right. Couple lings coming out. MoolSo has his Nexus on the way, has a cannon on the way, so he's going to be 100% completely fine. Obviously, his gateway going to be a little bit late here, so it's going to take a while for him to put any pressure on. Very important, therefore, to keep this probe alive and make sure he's not going to get 3-hatch Hydra'd. And I think that won't be too much of a problem for him. Doesn't seem like Action's trying too hard to kill the probe. If you're trying real hard, like you can get 6 lings out and start making little traps and stuff so that the probe is going to have to walk through some amount of damage. Overlord takes a couple hits here from the photon cannon, but as long as you don't lose it, all's good. We'll see where he retreats at to exactly. 3rd hatch down at this 3rd base. No big surprises there. And now, okay, there it is. I was going to say, we're going to wait and see where does he make his tech. Does he throw down a Hydra's Den or does he go for that layer? And he is, in fact, going for a layer. MoolSo, in the meantime, Cybernetics Core on the way. Should be transferring at least a few probes here. A little bit late on that. I think he was just maybe microing his probe extra. Oh, wow, did he just lose his probe as soon as I clicked away? Yeah, he did. So he ends up losing that probe. So that's a little bit unfortunate. But I think he's got a pretty good read that this doesn't really look like a Hydra all-in right now. Of course, with the Zealot coming out, that is an option to send it across the map to scout. And we should have that Stargate coming up now as well. And there it is. So Zergling speed, as well as a few Zerglings on the way here for Action. This really points towards the Spire play. And of course, I mean, just the fact that he's going quick layer. Generally, it's Spire. There are quick layer builds that are Hydralist based where you get quicker Overlord speed. And those builds are actually pretty good. You don't see them nearly as often. I think the Spire gives you more threat potential in a lot of ways. So, yeah, getting that Zergling speed to make sure that Zealots are not really going to be too much of an issue does send a Zealot up kind of a funny path to get over here and get some scouting / harassment done, and sends up his probe at the same time through the center. And in fact, does manage to dodge those 2 Zerglings that went around the side. In fact, the probe perfectly threaded the needle there. In the meantime, this Zealot gets behind. Wait a minute. Isn't that drone blood? Maybe not. Maybe that was a Zergling. Okay, anyways, that, you know, the Zealot does kind of its job and buys some time for the probe to get up. He sees the Spire, so there's nothing to guess at anymore here for MoolSo. He gets his +1 air weapon started, which makes sense, because again, it does look like it's reasonable that Action may make some Mutalisks here. We'll see if he goes for the 5+ Scourge or not. See if he goes for that Carapace. The Carapace really kind of gives it away. There's the Citadel coming down for MoolSo. Additional macro hatchery coming up. Kind of a slow start to the game for sure. But there we have the Flyer Carapace. So definitely he is going to be trying to make some Mutalisks work here. Corsair flying around. And it did see another gas on the way. It's going to come down here, see no additional gas on the way. It doesn't really tell you. Like, he's not 100% sure one way or another. And, you know, something that I've mentioned before, don't forget, you can't tell if these buildings are upgrading. Zerg buildings don't have any difference that they do, except when they're morphing. Some people are like, no, this one wiggles more. No, it doesn't. It actually doesn't, guy in the YouTube comments. It was the craziest thing. It's like, do you think I don't know that? That's... It does not wiggle more. Like, none of the Zerg buildings show that they are upgrading anything. And again, other than a morph, a greater Spire morph, a layer morph, that type of thing. So the Corsairs here just kind of floating over. You're always going to see some Scourge coming out, but you don't know for sure if he's going for those Mutalisks. So 4 mutas on the way. He'll get at least 5. We don't know if he'll get more than that, but of course 5 is the key number to one-shot probes. It's crazy how important that is to be able to one-shot things. It's like, you know, you have to know whenever you're making anything that harasses, it's like, okay, what do we need for volleys that makes sense? Okay, so it's like, oh, I guess if we have Wraiths, right, you need, what is it, 6 to one-shot a drone. Not 5, because that makes 40, and they'd all have to hit it at exactly the same second, because Zerg gets insta-heal. So, yeah, and then it's like 3 Vultures against a drone. You know, 5 mutas against probes. You know, these are 7 mutas against SCVs. These are like really important breakpoints where it doesn't even make sense to do anything before that. Because you're going to get so little damage done, it's going to be so easy to parry, and you've given away everything that you're doing, basically. All right, here we go. The 5 mutas come in. Good photon cannon placement. Doesn't want to engage. He has 6 Scourge flying around. This is kind of like, if you didn't have these Scourge flying around with the mutas, the Corsairs could just come out and kill all the mutas. But as is, of course, they get absolutely destroyed if they tried that. So he is going to fly home. Whoa! That's a very, very quick Lurker upgrade. Oh, this is interesting. Faster Overlord movement. Okay, that's normal. Carapace. Okay, yeah. That's not too normal. 2 more Evos. Okay, I gotta say, this is not common, what we're seeing out of Action here. It's a faster 3 evolution chamber than you basically ever see. It's Carapace before ranged attack. And it's Lurker upgrades before... He's not really focused on Hydra. So let me tell you what this feels like it means to me. It's kind of... Getting Carapace first is a very old school approach to negating Zealot plus attack so that your Zerglings can actually fight well. Okay, that is the main thing about the +1 Carapace. Now, the +1 Carapace upgrades basically went away because Protoss would just go into +2 attack. Nowadays, Protoss, like every Protoss in the world, goes +1 attack, +1 armor, +2 armor, and then sometimes even +3 armor. So they just skip after that first +1. So I wonder if what Action is doing here is leaning into a quicker Lurker Zergling composition, specifically by getting a quick Carapace upgrade to negate the strength of Zealots against the Zerglings. That is the thing that comes to mind. That's kind of the big brain thing that it could be. And we'll see. Oh, yes. Look at the amount of Zerglings he's making. Oh, this is fascinating. You know, I've talked before in PvZCasts about how the actual composition you want against Protoss is Lurker Ling, but the +1 Zealot legs make it so that you can't really go heavy Zerglings. So the fact that he is going mid-game after the Mutas, he goes into Lurkers right away to kind of negate the Zealots and then gets his +1 carapace so the Lings can actually fight. This is fascinating. I haven't seen a modern Zerg versus Protoss that looked like this. Not at all. And maybe there's someone out there that watches every single, Zerg streamer or whatever, and maybe this is something that's starting to pop up, but this is my first time seeing it. So very, very exciting. And that's, of course, not to say that he won't have any Hydras in there or anything. Hydras are still a useful, good unit, but Ling Lurker itself is like the ultimate comp. I love what we're seeing here. Okay, the Corsair is doing a good job kind of pushing some of this back. The Mutas come in, the Scourge trying to follow. He does turn those around and lets the Scourge push everything away. Brings the Dragoons up. All right, good job by MoolSo. Now he is attacking into this 4th base of action. Burrows a couple Lurkers. Okay, so it's not... He doesn't have many Lurkers here. The Lurkers are obviously adding really good damage to the Zealots, and you can see that with very little, he's still kind of holding. Those are some great storms from MoolSo. Okay, gets another storm there. He has no detection at the moment, so it's not like he can go closer. Looks like action... Well, you know what? With his Lings coming in, I think he will break this. Okay, another storm goes down. He's storming the Lurkers, but... Well, I guess that one already had some damage before it burrowed. And he does force him out. He does save this hatchery. What a weird situation here that MoolSo's having to deal with. All right, the 5 Muta's still alive. Adrenal on the way for those Zerglings. One of the best upgrades in the game. Zerglings actually scale better than basically everything. Like, a lot of people consider that the best unit in the game, the Zergling. You can kind of understand why. Plus 28% attack speed upgrade. Their first attack upgrade gives plus 20% damage. Like, what are we talking about? These numbers are insane. Zerglings are just so strong. And the fact that he has 2-2 on the way for them with the Adrenal upgrade at 12 minutes, 42 seconds, like, what are we looking at? MoolSo's playing well, by the way. It would be nice if he fixed these buildings. Does he have to kill his Robo? He has to kill his Robo. That's Dragoon tight, I think. Oh, that's brutal. Maybe there's... Oh, there is another way around there. But that is a pain in the ass. He's got so many units that aren't out here. Now Action is going to be able to actually kill off this 3rd base. I was saying he was doing well, but losing this 3rd base is brutal. Now, this counterattack he has coming in does have some potential. He has an Observer in there. So as long as he's careful with that Observer, he has that detection that he needs. Some more units coming over with an additional Observer as well. Some good amounts of Psystorm that are in this army. He's got like 4 Psystorms here, plus another coming up. Not really in a position to meet each other at the moment. Yeah, a lot of Hydras up here going to easily smash this small group of units. Yeah, MoolSo's having a really hard time finding anything. Okay, he did have to kill his own Robo, so that's brutal, because that's 200. You know, having to re-spend 200 gas and stop your Robo production for a bit is very painful. You got to be careful about things like that. Ouch. It is kind of cramped the way his natural looks, so I kind of get it, but that is not good. Now, Action coming up. He actually has more supply now. He has that +2 carapace. Not that that makes a very big difference here. Muta's coming up and tanking a lot of the shots over here from the cannons. I think this is just going to be game. I tell you what, this is exciting, though. This is an exciting game that we have caught here. I feel very, very fortunate, very lucky to see this. Of course, previous to SSL, in case we see that in there. Because if Action is doing... Like, Action is a guy that's basically always top 8. So if he's doing this right before the SSL qualifiers, This could be something that we see popping up this season. The quick carapace upgrade coming back, something I haven't seen in years and years and years. With the fast lurkers as well. Very, very cool. MoolSo, like, okay, he has this up here with cannons, but once you lose the main chunk of your army, you're not going to be able to come back. You can see his supply is plummeting now. His worker count is lower. GG is called. Not a big surprise for Action to take out MoolSo. I think MoolSo played a pretty good game, but this is like something you wouldn't be prepared for. One of the fastest 2-2 Adrenal Zergling games that I've seen. Excellently played from Action. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know if you think what you think about this idea of basically the crux of it comes down to you force your opponent into the regular Zealot opener by going for Spire. From there, because they always go +1 armor instead of +2 attack, you get +1 carapace so that your Zerglings have more value and you can spend your gas on lurkers. And then suddenly you have a very, very strong composition in that mid game. Something that you normally don't really get going till Hive. All right. Very cool. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.